Hey guys, it's Mike here, and in this video I want to discuss something which has been on my mind as well as the minds of many other Dragon Ball fans for a long time now. That revolves around the potential of Goten and Trunks, or more specifically, how Goten and Trunks' potential has been completely wasted in the Dragon Ball franchise. Now to start this off, I believe that I need to get into who Goten and Trunks are as characters, as well as their history in the franchise, so we can fully understand exactly how they were wasted. Now in the Cell Saga of Dragon Ball Z, we were first introduced to future Trunks. He was the alternate future version of Bulma and Vegeta's unborn son, and the hope of the future. 3 years later, the main timeline Trunks was born, and he in many ways served as the hope of the present, representing a peaceful time to come. As in his timeline, the androids would be defeated and he would live a more normal life, where both of his parents were still alive. If we flash forward 7 years, we were introduced to Goten, who in many ways served the same purpose, because in future Trunks' timeline, Goten did not exist due to Goku dying from the heart virus. However, before his death in the main timeline, Goku and Chi-Chi conceived their second son. Goten in many ways also served as a replacement for Goku, who at this point was planned by Akira Toriyama to remain dead. This is why their personalities and appearances were practically identical. Together, Goten and Trunks represented the post-Goku generation of fighters. They were the ones who would inherit the future of Dragon Ball. However, the cracks in this idea soon began to emerge as Goku made his return to the story. Now at first, Goku's return didn't really seem like it would cause problems. After all, he was only returning for a one-day visit and would be one participant in a tournament involving most of the main cast. Goten and Trunks were also going to enter the tournament, so it would have been fun to see them all mix it up. However, as the story began to unfold at the tournament and the arc took shape, things began to change. First, we saw that the two Saiyans had to participate in a youth division tournament. This saw them face off against a number of normal human teens, which was fun, but we had seen it done better in the original Dragon Ball. The real fight came when Goten faced Trunks in the finals, and this was an entertaining fight. The rivalry between Goten and Trunks had been built up since before the tournament, where we learned that they sparred together and had the desire to surpass one another. As a result, Goten trained with Gohan and Trunks trained with Vegeta in the gravity chamber. We also learned that the two of them had attained the legendary form of Super Saiyan and could even transform at will. Now I wasn't a fan of them getting it so soon, and I'll likely go more in depth into it in a future video. But regardless, the two Saiyans had some build up to their fight, and the fight itself showed off all of their skills, impressing the audience and their parents in the process. During this fight, Trunks demonstrated his age and skill advantage over Goten and won the match. He then went on to face Mr. Satan in an exhibition match. Of course, Trunks won this with ease, but Mr. Satan played it all off as a joke. But after this concluded, Goten and Trunks' relevance took a back seat as the story shifted to the adults, as well as Babidi and the resurrection of Majin Buu. So while the adults went off to face Babidi and his men, Goten and Trunks remained behind to participate in the rest of the tournament under the guise of Mighty Mask. While this was entertaining, it was a far cry from what was happening on Babidi's ship and was really an afterthought, especially with 18 revealing their true identities and Mr. Satan winning it all when 18 threw the fight. But soon, Goten and Trunks would be inserted into the main story of the arc. After Gohan and Supreme Kai were defeated and Goku was unconscious, Goten and Trunks saved Vegeta from Buu. Vegeta would then knock them out and hand them over to Piccolo before sacrificing himself. But at this time, it was made clear that they were being saved for something greater, and that Goten and Trunks were supposed to be the saviors of the arc. This was made more apparent as Buu survived Vegeta's explosion, and Goku explained the fusion technique to the Z fighters. However, Goku was unable to fuse with anyone and would soon have to return to the other world. This is where Goten and Trunks came in. Although the two of them weren't on the level of their fathers or Gohan, with the fusion technique, they could attain the power necessary to defeat Buu. Thus, while Buu was wiping out the planet, the two child Saiyans trained with Piccolo to master the fusion. However, this is where perhaps the biggest problem with these characters began to emerge, as they acted like spoiled children and spent much of their time goofing off. Unlike Gohan or Kid Goku before them, the two were quick to rush into battle. They always assumed that they had the power to win, win, even when everyone around them said they didn't. This led to base Gotenks being beaten down by Buu, and Super Saiyan Gotenks repeatedly flying around the Earth and wasting all of his fusion time. These two were the saviors of the world, yet they did everything in their power to undermine that. Their fusion of Gotenks only brought out their collective issues, which we would go on to see during his proper fight against Buu. During Goten and Trunks' training, Majin Buu had spent time with Mr. Satan, learning to be a good person. He had turned over a new leaf. However, after his dog B and then Mr. Satan were shot, Buu split in two, with one side being good and the other evil. The two sides fought and evil triumphed. He then ate Fat Buu and transformed into Super Buu, who was far more powerful than ever. After Buu arrived at Kami's lookout, Goten and Trunks rushed into the time chamber to train. This is where their true fight against Majin Buu would finally take place. What had been built up to for much of the arc was now happening, and this is where Gotenks failed as a character. Instead of fighting seriously to defeat Buu, Gotenks decided to play around. He purposely held back to try and look cool, drawing out the fight. His moves were also ridiculous in nature. In other words, rather than giving us a hero, Toriyama gave us a gag. Gotenks, and as a result Goten and Trunks, was reduced to a joke. His legitimacy as a protagonist was diminished, and as was his credibility. Subsequently, Gotenks would fail twice during this fight. First, when Piccolo sealed him in the chamber, and then second, when he had Buu seemingly defeated, but then ran out of time. This is also where the trend of fusion failing to accomplish their goal began. A trend which I'm sure fans of the character and of fusion aren't too fond of. Gohan would arrive shortly after to dominate Buu, and then Goten and Trunks would once again fuse into Gotenks. However, they only served to be a power boost for Buu, who absorbed them with an ability that came out of nowhere. And with that, the relevance of Goten, Trunks, and Gotenks mostly came to an end in Dragon Ball. The rest of DBZ saw them removed from the action, and after the 10-year time skip, they were portrayed as teenagers who slacked on their training. Dragon Ball Super wasn't kind to them either, because they showed up in the first two arcs only to fuse and quickly be defeated. We saw this with Beerus and even base copy Vegeta, totally rendering their power irrelevant. The Future Trunks arc saw their most use, as present Trunks interacted with his future self and pursued a relationship with Mai. However, all of that served as a minor subplot, yet that subplot and a handful of other scenes are their only memorable moments from Super. Ironically, it seems that they were more relevant in Dragon Ball GT, where Trunks served as a supporting character to Goku, going along on his mission to collect the Black Star Balls. Yet Goten and Trunks never really defeated any serious threats. They didn't even fuse again during the series, which was a big missed opportunity. Their primary function after a while became restoring Super Saiyan 4 Goku's energy, because it was Goku time after all. So looking back on the history of Goten and Trunks, we see a story of disappointment and missed opportunities. These were the sons of Goku and Vegeta respectively, who if we look back at future Trunks and Gohan, prove that they had massive potential. This could have come in the form of power, sure, but also their potential as characters in the story. It seemed with the end of the Cell Saga and beginning of the Buu Saga that Toriyama was ready to pass on the story to the next generation, with Gohan, Goten, and Trunks there to lead the Dragon Ball franchise into the future. Yet instead, Toriyama brought Goku back and shifted the focus back to the older generation, leaving their next generation to dwell in obscurity. As a result, the Goten and Trunks we're left with are seldomly used, underdeveloped, and frankly annoying characters who have no purpose in the story. Dragon Ball Super hasn't even had the decency to let them grow older. Instead, they have Ash Ketchum syndrome where they're perpetually young, even far beyond reason. So we can trap them and the series in a Simpson-esque ambiguous time period that we may never get a straight answer about. At least Dragon Ball Z and GT let these kids hit puberty. It's a shame too, because at first I liked these characters, and yet now I don't even want to see them on my screen. They could have done so much more with them, such as showing them going on training journeys like their own fathers. Perhaps they could have even trained under Master Roshi like Goku and Krillin did, learning greater ki control as well as the philosophy of martial arts. It would have been fun to see all of these experiences from their perspectives, following their growth and power and as characters. Yet none of that ever happened. Looking at how they've been used in recent years, I'm not sure that it ever will either. This, among the other reasons I've mentioned, is why I would say that Goten and Trunks are without a doubt wasted potential in the Dragon Ball franchise. So what do you guys think? Are Goten and Trunks wasted potential, and how do you think that they should be used in the future? Also, if you're new to this channel, then make sure to subscribe and enable notifications so that you can see all of my videos right away when they come out. And if you like this video, then make sure to stick around, because there's a lot more to come in the future.
Yeah, and you better subscribe, enable those damn notifications.